Hey guys, back with another video. Do you guys remember earlier in the case of Na'Ziyah? Well, during like last month before that, um, remains was found behind a house in Detroit, and everybody was thinking it was could possibly be Na'Ziyah. Well, it was ZEMAR King. I did the story on ZEMAR King as well. He was found with his feet sticking off the ground. Well, this is the update to that, and his dad is just now finding out that ZEMAR King was his son since his passing. He knew the mom, Brandy Pierce, came to him and told him that he possibly could have been, so he wanted to get a DNA test. So this is the update to the dad's side of the story and talking about what had happened before ZEMAR demise. So, and he's pointing a finger at CPS as well. This is ridiculous. It's a big problem in Detroit for sure when it comes to CPS, and yes, somebody needs to be charged. So let's jump into this. I'm gonna give you guys a recap of the story when it first happened first.
We are learning more about a Detroit mother charged with the killing of her 9-year-old son. Police say an arrest made months ago may have saved the life of a 3-year-old child. 41-year-old Brandy Pierce faces charges in Detroit. She's accused of smothering her 9-year-old son ZEMAR and burying him in the backyard. New arrest warrants show police arrested Pierce in Brookhaven in December for child cruelty against her 3-year-old. Police say Pierce told them they were homeless and living out of a rental car at the time. 11 Live's Angelina Salcido has more.
October 2024.
The cause of death found by the medical examiner was depression.
A gruesome death.
It's alleged that she purchased a shovel, she feet together, and dug a hole house on Whittingham, where she had been living for a short time.
Detroit prosecutors say 41-year-old Brandy Pierce killed her 9-year-old son ZEMAR. His not found until January 6th this year behind a garage at the rental home where she lived with him and 3-year-old Zor. Neighbors shocked to learn what happened there.
It's sad, though. It's really sad that that happened.
Sources say the landlord found the home empty 2 days before Thanksgiving. Pierce left to Georgia with her 3-year-old, but was arrested in Brookhaven at a Dollar General for cruelty to. Officers found Zor in the front seat, naked. Documents show both front seats were pulled forward, a small deflated air mattress placed in the middle. Pierce was arrested again by Cobb County deputies on January 10th for possession of a controlled substance and theft. Back in Detroit,
We are charging Brandy Catrice Pierce today with 1 count of murder, first-degree premeditation. Count 2 is homicide.
Angelina Salcido, 11 Alive News.
Captured the attention of many in Metro Detroit.
And tonight, questions are swirling over the role Child Protective Services played in the year-old Detroit boy.
For weeks, we've been following the tragic story of ZEMAR King, who was found in the grave. His mother's accused of killing him before running away to Georgia.
Well, now the father of that boy is speaking out for the first time about the warning signs he says were missed.
And a former deputy attorney general tells the 7 investigators that prosecutors should be looking into what we first revealed. Here's 7 investigator Ross Jones.
He didn't deserve this. He already stated what was going on in the house.
6 months before ZEMAR King would be found buried in a Detroit backyard, he told a Children's Protective Services caseworker that his mother, Brandy Pierce, her hands and wanted to kill him.
ZEMAR King was a 9-year-old child who was treated like he was a piece of garbage. The callousness with which the defendant treated ZEMAR cannot be understated.
Tonight, ZEMAR King's father sits in disbelief. How, he asks, could state watchdogs not protect his son after what he told them?
I don't respect that because I respect that CPS will take action.
Derek Brown only learned ZEMAR was his son through a DNA test after they found his body confirmed it. Derek had been in a relationship with Brandy Pierce a decade earlier, but said they lost touch until about 2 years ago, when he says Pierce showed up out of the blue with ZEMAR.
I wanted to meet up with you so I could tell you this is your son.
This picture is from the day they met, when Brown said Pierce made him an offer.
She told me that I could take him. She'll switch everything to me. I asked her, is something wrong? She said no, she just feel that she took on a lot.
Brown said he agreed to take ZEMAR, but wanted to take a DNA test first. They scheduled one for the following week, but Pierce later canceled it, he said, and left for California.
Did you ever see ZEMAR again?
No.
2 years later, a CPS caseworker would be called to this Plymouth hospital after Pierce arrived in the midst of a mental health crisis. She said she was homeless, questioning whether she should give up custody of one of her boys. That's when ZEMAR told CPS the family often had no food, he hadn't been to school in a year, and that his mother beats him. But a CPS caseworker concluded there wasn't enough evidence to substantiate a neglect complaint. The family was placed in a homeless shelter, and the case against Pierce was closed. Tonight, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services will not say whether that caseworker is under investigation or facing any discipline.
Not every time a government employee makes a mistake or does something wrong, does the government then prosecute them. However, there are certain circumstances, at least the issue should be reviewed. And this is one of those cases.
Matthew Schneider is a former U.S. attorney for Michigan's Eastern District, and before that, he was Deputy Attorney General for the state.
There is not a doubt in my mind, if I were still the Deputy Attorney General, I would be looking for the reports in this case. I would want to know what happened, and should law enforcement get heavily involved in investigating and looking at this case and contemplating whether or not charges should be brought.
Schneider says there are 2 charges a prosecutor would most likely consider. Willful neglect of duty, a misdemeanor charge that was brought against Rick Snyder and others as part of the Flint water crisis, and misconduct in office, a felony charge that carries up to 5 years in prison. There is no sign tonight that either the Attorney General or the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office are reviewing how CPS handled this case.
The facts are is that the little boy is telling the CPS worker, I'm with a belt. I don't have a place to live. I don't get enough food to eat. I don't feel safe all the time. And it looks like the system broke down.
Whether criminal charges are brought won't mean much to Derek Brown. Earlier this month, the son he only recently learned was his, and says he can't shake the thought of the 9-year-old's final cries for help.
I would have took him with no question asked. If he would have said all that, I would have found ways to take him.
We reached out to Brandy Pierce's attorney for comment, but did not hear back. According to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, Pierce was just referred for a competency evaluation and won't be back in a courtroom until May. I'm Ross Jones.
Number 25-055-67401. The people of the state of Michigan versus Brandy Catrice Pierce. May I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Ryder Marad, P83665 on behalf of Ms. Brandy Pierce. We wait for formal reading. Ms. Pierce stands mute. She's been advised of her rights.
Okay, good morning to you both. The court will enter a not guilty plea on behalf of Ms. Pierce. Ms. Ripley, your bond recommendation.
Yes, Judge. People are asking for a remand in this case. The facts in this case are nothing short of egregious. ZEMAR King was a 9-year-old child who was treated like he was a piece of garbage. He deserved better, and we believe the evidence will show that back in April of 2024, the defendant and her 2 children went to a hospital for help. CPS got involved. ZEMAR told CPS that his mother choked and wants to kill him. Fast forwarding to October of 2024, the defendant and her 2 children are living in Detroit on Woodingham. The defendant orders a shovel and a wagon from Walmart. She digs a hole in her backyard behind her garage. Later in October, I believe October 24th, ZEMAR wakes up early as would be usual for him. We believe that the evidence will show that the defendant's mother and that the defendant heard his last gasp and decided to walk away. That when the defendant came back, ZEMAR, he was blue. And instead of helping him, she decided to in a wagon and take him out to the hole that she in the backyard and buried. The callousness with which the defendant treated ZEMAR cannot be understated. The defendant is an absolute danger to the community and the presence. After the killing, the defendant took herself and her other son to Illinois, Wisconsin, and then down to Georgia, where they had been residing. The defendant was subsequently arrested 2 times in Georgia for crimes involving her other son and drugs. We had to beg her to make this warrant. So people believe you can appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Your response, Mr. Murad?
Judge, so on behalf of Ms. Pierce, I can tell you that she's 46 years old. She's not employed at this time, Your Honor. She has absolutely no income. She does suffer from disorders that I'm not aware if she's received her medication for. I can tell you that in talking to her, we understand that she's received a master's degree as well. Ultimately, Your Honor, you know, I think we lost this correctly, so there we go. So ultimately, Your Honor, when it comes to bond, I think it's important to know that it's easy to, you know, read up a police report and read the most egregious allegations and then confine somebody to jail. What I'm asking the court to do here is to use the least restrictive means possible and confine her to a homeless shelter. She would ultimately, any concerns that the prosecutor or the court would have would be addressed with a home confinement GPS tether to a homeless shelter. She is homeless, Your Honor. I don't think it's appropriate for me to even argue the facts in this case at this stage. But when it comes to ties to the community or flight risk, I hear what the prosecutor is saying, that she wasn't found in another state. I still think a tether addresses that. So my ultimate request, Your Honor, is to release her on a reasonable bond, confining her to a homeless shelter.
Okay, thank you. After listening to the arguments of the parties, the court has had an opportunity to review the investigator's report and take into consideration the background information that has been presented by defense counsel. The court certainly is concerned. Not only is Ms. Pierce a danger to the community, but also a flight risk. After these egregious acts or allegations, she left the state, was in Illinois, Wisconsin, and then found in Georgia. So a flight risk, that's pretty much clear. As it relates to being a danger, as Ms. Ripley indicated, the facts are just egregious in terms of how this child was found, the condition, being tied, body having been decomposed, the prior information that was submitted in terms of the contact with Child Protective Services, and based upon that information, she definitely poses a threat to the community. So the court believes that based upon the information, finds through clear and convincing evidence that she is a danger. Also, that based upon the information that has been set forth in the investigator's report, it appears that the presumption of guilt is high, and the court is going to remand this matter pursuant to MRE 6.106B1I. So Ms. Pierce, court is going to set a remand in this case.